One that was not on any of our bingo cards was Stu Lash coaching the Brisbane Bullets. If we're being totally honest here, we knew that the Bullets were conducting a worldwide search for the coach. We had heard a couple of names that were down to the final 5 and then down to the final 3. And then we hear the news that was quite a shock to everyone. And I don't say that in a negative way whatsoever. Just very surprising that the Brisbane Bullets have landed with Stu Lash as their head coach. How did this all play out, Olgun?
Shocking is the word, in the fact that it was very surprising. No one really saw this coming. I told some people, you can give them 1,000 guesses. They wouldn't have guessed that this is who they landed on. Basically, so here's the origin story of this. They began their search for a new head coach. They got rid of Justin Schuller, 2 seasons with that team, didn't have a winning record either season. They moved on. There was always smoke that they might move on from him. They began their search. They had 26 candidates. They interviewed 16 of them. Ultimately, that was cut down to a top 6. At some point in the process, the ownership of the Brisbane Bullets reached out to Mal Watts, the CEO, and said, what about Stu Lash as a potential option? Now, Stu Lash has experience in NBA front offices. He was on the Denver Nuggets coaching staff for a short amount of time, so he has experience around world basketball. This was broached to Stu Lash, and Lash thought about it for a few days and then came back and said, this is something I'm interested in. So at that point, Lash, who was the senior basketball advisor, effectively the GM, they took him off the selection panel, made him a candidate. He interviewed like everyone else, and it got to a point where he was in the top 6 and down to the top 2, and ultimately was handed this position. Now, some of the other names that we know were involved in this, I'm told Paulie Henare was part of the top 6. He was one of the finalists. Another name that was brought up to me that interviewed was David Gomez, someone who is coaching in Japan right now. Randy Livingston is someone who that people in Australia might know, was coaching high school basketball out in Louisiana over the last couple of years, former NBA player. He's someone who they were interested as well at some point, but Stu Lash is someone who comes in, no head coach experience.
That's big.
And for a team that has not made the postseason in almost 10 years and who haven't had a coach with head coach experience for the past couple of years, you assume that was something that they would be chasing, but they're not doing that. They're going down that, Justin Tatum, that Petteri Koppinen, that unorthodox path. It's a risk. It's a gamble. It's a bit rogue. We'll see if it works, but you understand the thinking, but it is a giant gamble for this team.
From where they were in terms of Justin Schuller was a first-time coach, I think the surprise here, Pete and Derek, is that they have gone for the gamble option, that they had what I think we all consider a safe bet in Paulie Henare, a proven coach coaching in Japan right now, as one of a number of options that were safer bets. This could go really, really well. And we could be sitting here in 12 months from now, the Bullets make the playoffs and we say, great call. It could also not go so well, and we could be sitting here in 12 months from now saying, what were they thinking?
Hindsight's a beautiful thing. So again, we can't judge this until we see the results. We see what happens on, one, the free agency period, what kind of players they can attract and recruit and build the roster on. And two, by Christmas, how's it look? If it looks really good, you're right. You're saying it's a master hire from someone who's been within the organisation, understands the direction they're going. Shocked is the right word for me, though. The no head coaching experience is the one that, when you parted ways with Schuller, I think everybody expected, we talked about it, they're going to go for a big fish. They're going to land a big fish. That's what they need to do. That's why they're getting rid of Justin Schuller. Paul Henare is someone I've been talking about for the last couple of seasons. Of how do you get guys back? How do you get coaches and players back from Japan? The thought of having that opportunity to do that, I thought would have been a no-brainer. But yeah, the no head coaching experience is what is a shock to me in regards of how it all came about because of the timing of it. We all sat here and we kept hearing all these names. Chase Buford was interested in the role, I believe, from what Olgun was reporting. So all these other names were popping up and you thought, okay, this makes sense. This is why they've got rid of Justin Schuller. They're going out there to make a big splash. And again, you can't judge any of it until you see the results, which is the beautiful part of hiring both players, signing players and coaches, because all of that, all the answers are going to be in the results to see what happens going forward. It can work out as a masterstroke. Having someone involved in the organisation who's been there for the last 2 years, and as Jack said, it has the potential to go the other way. We'll find out soon enough.
Shocking, again, is the correct word. And one of the reasons is because the messaging throughout the process was we want someone that has previous head coaching experience. Okay, so they contravened that messaging in the ultimate hire. The other thing is, Pete, why are the Bullets bad? They're bad because they can't defend. 2 years ago, 8th in the league in defensive rating. Last year, they finished last in the competition in defensive rating. Is Stu Lash capable of turning that around? Because if he can't address their defensive woes, this is going to go bad.
Yeah, another reason why this shocked people around sort of Australian basketball and sort of the world basketball ecosystem was because of the fact that they did flag to agents of coaches and things like that they were looking for someone with head coach experience. And so then to sort of pivot and hire Stu Lash, I think that took a lot of people by surprise. Again, we had never seen Stu Lash coach before. So theoretically, we can reserve judgment until that happens.
Yeah.
But this is, it's a Bullets team that has made the postseason once since they returned to the NBL. They had Andre Lamanis for that first couple of seasons, for the first 4 or 5 seasons. That's Boomer's head coach. That's who that was. Since then, it's been James Duncan, and then that ultimately turned into Greg Vanderjagt, Sam McKinnon, that debacle of a season, and then into Justin Schuller, someone else with no head coach experience. Now into Stu Lash, someone else with no head coach experience. So again, that's why this is an unbelievable gamble, because it's sort of more of the same. And people point to Justin Tatum and Petteri Koppinen as sort of like-for-like things, but those guys played at a reasonable level, Petteri Koppinen especially. So those are their former players as well. So that's where it slightly differs from those guys. But I think people are seeing the success of especially Justin Tatum and thinking, we can make an unorthodox pick, and if we just get a good leader, then this can work. That's
I
like
don't
the
like
thinking.
that though. That scares me, because what Justin Tatum did to the Hawks.
He's a one of one, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not like we've seen this twice in the last decade.
He's
This is
also probably got
anomaly.
the best assistant coaching staff in the league
Correct.
too, with Joel Carlu, Sam Grug,
And
Matt
they
Flynn.
had the continuity of players rolling over. So everything was there. I mean, what they did last season was phenomenal under Justin Tatum, and we're all talking about he could have won Coach of the Year last season. It was an outstanding turnaround. He brought back 90% of the roster, added a couple of key pieces. It's a very unique thing, and I'm hoping that's not what it came down to. Like, hey, Justin Tatum did this, we can do this. Petteri Koppinen, like, I hope that's not what weighed more than, hey, we've got head coaching experience available, because that's probably not the way you want to make a decision. But again, we can't judge any of this until we see the results, we see the players they put on. Again, we're all going to be fascinated to watch now. Again, it could work out really well. We know Stu Lash very well, great basketball mind. So now's the opportunity to go in there and make something happen.
And we wish him all the best, as you say, Pete. We've all had a lot to do with Stu. Really good guy, loves the league, loves the Bullets. So we wish him all the best in the role. I don't want to be the negative Nelly here, Derek, and this is personal for you with the Brisbane Bullets, but if I'm a Bullets fan, after everything that you have all just articulated, I'm sitting there thinking, this better work. There's no other way to boil it down than that. This better work.
My phone was on fire yesterday, and unfortunately for the Bullets,
That's
most of it was not positive. And I was a bit measured in my responses to people and just telling them, just sit tight, we don't know. We don't know what Stu Lash is capable of as a coach. But I will say, through my history here, this type of situation generally does not work out. Now, he's got a huge challenge in front of him. And the number one thing that I believe he's going to have to establish is a voice of command. Can he lead that team? Can he lead that group of men? Because that has been problematic since Andre Lamanis left. The coach has not been able to hold on to the locker room, create game plans, and have them executed. I'm in those Bullets timeouts on a regular basis. I see guys rolling their eyes. I see the reactions. And as we look at their, they've got a decent roster, Olgun. You look at the talent, but there's a lot of fragility in the roster. Guys just don't stay healthy. And if you look through the guys that are in, most of them missed, the better part of the second half of the season, except Casey Prather.
They've got to go and get some big pieces, though, for sure.
Well, Delhi is the one. Again, we keep mentioning Delhi, but if they can get Dellavedova, by the way, I'm giving Delhi anything he wants.
It doesn't seem like Brisbane's that big of an option for Delhi, or it hasn't been reported as it is.
I mean, he visited them.
I'm wondering now, though, if the Stu Lash signing becomes a little bit more enticing for a guy like Delhi, though, who has the professionalism, with the club as well, willing to probably give a little bit more. You've got no head coaching experience with Stu Lash coming in.
You get to run it a little bit more. You get more autonomy.
You get to shape everything that goes on.
Captain coach type scenarios.
But again, you talked about this. If they get Delhi for once his career's done, then you keep him in the Brisbane Bullets for in whatever aspect going forward. That can become very enticing. And I'm wondering if now, okay, whatever the number was we had, we'll give you a little bit more than that. Like, we are really big. That would change the landscape of this completely.
And keep in mind, his good friend Mitch Young lives in Brisbane. He runs the Logan Thunder.
Yep.
And those guys are very close. I don't know. I'm not saying it impacts Delhi's decision, but there are some variables there that would make Delhi think this decision through.
So you know Delhi. We've all dealt with Delhi before. Is he the type of person who would go and do that, go from Dean Vickerman to a first-time head coach and think, oh, I get to run the show? Or do you think his preference would be to go somewhere that's a bit more proven?
You know what the problem is,
what's
Olgun?
his preference?
You miss championship competition. You go to Brisbane, you're not playing championship basketball.
The other side of that is what I think and what we understand from Delhi. I think it is a little bit enticing, though, to go there and be like, hey, like, he knows who he is, and he understands that if you're not with him for the ride, then he doesn't want you as part of the team. Like, Delhi is the utmost professional. He competes harder than anybody, wears his heart on his sleeve every single day, does all the right things. If he's going to go to the Brisbane Bullets, he's setting that tone from the jump. So everyone else has to come along for the ride. We talk about the big domino, but now with everything else that's going on in the Brisbane Bullets, it can be a really nice thing of like, hey, this is where I'm at now. His goal is to make the Olympics in 2028. So I'm going to continue to play at a high level. I think it does become a little bit more enticing. The championship thing is key. He wants to compete and wants to win a championship. So maybe that's where it comes down for the Bullets right now. If you're saying that a decision might be made by the end of the weekend, it's, hey, Delhi, if we can lock you in, we're going to go out and get these type of pieces to complement you. And all of a sudden, we're in a championship fight. We've got Casey Prater, we've got Tyler Harrison, we've got pieces to help that. It can be very enticing.